Hey guys, it's Zohar breaking in here just at the beginning. Well, this episode was doomed from the beginning. We had a spectacular, well, Matt and I had a spectacular, nearly 2-hour show for you lined up, but man, I gotta tell ya, we had some technical difficulties. Not Matt's fault. I am the negligent one this time around. Sadly, something happened regarding someone misplacing a file. Well, not really, more saving over a file that wasn't meant to be saved over. So Matt and I actually kind of had a great conversation in the first half of this episode that it won't see the light of day because it's now missing. But no, man, we got together, we talked about, 6 Underground, we talked about the 1917 featurette and the second trailer. We talked fucking Batman casting, like, goddamn. Like, you know, we got Kravitz and fucking Paul Dano in there now, but, like, we were high on some shit, and we just didn't, we can't get it out there to you guys. It sucks. We also talked the Bloodshot trailer too. We had some mixed feelings about that. These trailers that we all talked about, they are all in the after party. And, if you guys are dying for our thoughts, for some reason, you can also reach out to us in the after party if you would like our thoughts on these specific trailers. But, we got our Birds of Prey thoughts in there. It's just going to kind of kick off. That's where it's going to start. It's not going to start with a full-on intro like our usual episodes. So I do apologize for that. But hey, that's just the way things go sometimes. Matt and I had a great conversation at least, so it wasn't a total loss. It's just a total loss for you guys. Thank you so much for listening, guys. I really do apologize for this technical snafu. We still have our awesome reviews here for Zombieland, Double Tap, El Camino, between two Ferns rather, and Hustlers. Thank you for bearing with us this week. This just wasn't meant to be this episode, because half of the content that we cover on this episode was actually supposed to be covered 2 weeks ago when we covered Joker, but Matt actually had some technical difficulties that time around, so we weren't able to fit in all this content, and that just ended up being a special feature. But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Here's the episode, and yeah, you guys can kick me in the ass for this one. Enjoy.
On this upcoming attractions, we got Birds of Prey, 6 Underground, and Bloodshot, plus a whole lot more. Also, our reviews for Zombieland Double Tap, Between Two Ferns movie, Hustlers, and El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie. All this and a whole lot more on an upcoming attractions episode of Midnight Double Feature.
So Birds of Prey. I don't really have any strong feelings on it or any strong opinions or anything like that. It just kind of came, the trailer just kind of came and went. It looks like fun, I guess. It looks like a continuation of the Suicide Squad. Just Suicide Squad, David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Don't really know how they're going to tie it into James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, but I guess, hey, DC Universe is kind of in shambles right now. I kind of really wish they do a lot more of the Joker type films, but yeah, I'm indifferent, I guess, is my feelings. I'm kind of we'll see.
What I like about this is they've clearly seen what worked with Suicide Squad and ran with that. Because people love to shit on Suicide Squad, but you got to remember it was a success. Yes, it took me 3 attempts, but I got there.
Wow.
That movie won a fucking Oscar, which has to be acknowledged. Did what was it, 800 million at the box office or whatever. You know what? You go to literally any convention ever, and everybody's dressed up as Harley Quinn from that film, because the costume design and the way they did it and the production design, all that stuff, fucking fantastic with that film. And this movie, it looks like they're just taking that and running with it. It looks like a freaking acid trip. I love the new outfit Harley Quinn's got in this. Actually, she's gone through a few. I kind of wish, though, that the other characters were given the same treatment. Huntress looks very bland in comparison. That's a character I do kind of like. And Black Mask isn't wearing a black mask. Hopefully we get that. But yeah, I love the neon lights. I love the color. I'm worried that So a film like this has to be fun, and it's a fun trailer, but none of the jokes are landing for me. So I hope this film's, if it's trying to be funny, I hope it actually is funny. If not, then I hope it's at least fun.
I mean, yeah, I guess. I don't really know. I'm not really. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not really vibing on the jokes or anything. And the style of this movie looks kind of weird too. It might just be the director Kathy Ann. I haven't really seen anything that she's done. There's some really weird shots in this, like that shot where someone jumps on this guy and it kind of hard cuts into him and it's a weird sound effect. I'm just I don't really know what you're going for here. Look, this seems like a circus. Yeah. If the circus was on screen, this would be the circus.
Yeah, I think this movie, it wants to be a cartoon, you know?
Yeah.
Which you have to remember, Suicide Squad was a movie that changed sort of almost genres and tone halfway through production. So the fact that they're actually fully committing to that second vision now is kind of interesting. But it's also this isn't going to be for everybody, I think.
No, it won't be. And I mean, it'll probably be, I don't know who it's for, but to be honest, but I'll still say it. I'm so weirdly indifferent to this now. Back in 2016, really couldn't wait for the Suicide Squad, but I keep saying the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Really, really keen for Suicide Squad, really keen to see how it went. But now that I'm just I don't know. I'm just sorry, DC, you gotta keep buying me back, I know you bought me back with the joke a little bit, but this is a direct continuation from Suicide Squad, so I don't really trust you yet, you can buy me a drink, but you can't fuck me yet, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. And yeah, look, at the end of the day, Margot Robbie's performance is what's going to carry this film.
A lot of people are pissed about that, actually.
What do you mean?
I mean, I'm not the biggest sort of nerd out there, but I do follow some comic book website and forums and shit. And I always just kind of lurk. I never comment. I'm such a great contributor, but a lot of purists who are really into the comics pretty hard, because Harley's not really a bird of prey in the comics.
Right.
And because
she's
technically leading this film, a lot of people aren't really happy about that.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. It's the real birds of prey are kind of secondary in the background here for this. I know why they just couldn't have called it Harley Quinn and her friends. But yeah, at the end of the day, this is a Harley Quinn solo film.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
But this character has developed her own fan base now, and it's whether the thing is can they do it twice and do it better? Because that last film, because it had so much bad shit against it and made the good shit stand out. This film doesn't have that excuse. So yeah, as long as it's fun, I'll be there. And at the end of the day, this film, I think, and I hope it's trying to aim for it's more of a female-centered audience in this genre, which typically doesn't, it's more male-dominated. So hopefully, they can do what they're doing well. I think it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a real challenge. But I like weird shit, and this looks a little weird. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh yeah, totally. I'm also really curious to see how Ewan McGregor pulls off Black Mask without a black mask, and certain off-screen romances between Mary Elizabeth Winstead and Ewan McGregor, which broke up Ewan McGregor's wedding, or sorry, not wedding, but actual relationship.
And last of all,
relevant.
Last of all, the one thing I want to see that I know I won't get, but I want to see them do something with the Jared Leto Joker, maybe send him off or somehow. It just feels it's going to be weird to me seeing that character on screen without the other. I know the whole point is about leaving him, but it's just sad to see that they started something and they never finished it. Most of the scenes that Jared filmed as the Joker will never see the light of day. They cut a whole, so just sad, but
I'm good, man.
Shit goes on.
I'm good. I'll pass on that.
Finally, we got a trailer. A little bit weird. Dolittle. Now we talked a long time ago. We did a podcast and we had a little debate over what had the most impressive cast, The Lion King or this new upcoming Dr. Dolittle movie. And that was the last time we spoke about it. Now we got a trailer and this movie looks very different to what I expected. What do you think of this film?
Similar to something we were talking about off air, I am so indifferent about this movie. I'm just oh, okay, that's a thing that exists. Like, I know that this is more geared towards the like people who like the source material, like, you know, more so than Eddie Murphy's version, because it's a big sort of fantastical tale about Dr. Dolittle and, like, you know, his ability to speak to animals and shit like that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, man. Like, I'm not the audience, right? Like, I'm not the target audience. I'll still eventually see it. Definitely not a day one for me. You know, I'm curious to see what Robert Downey Jr. does now that he's got those Marvel bucks. And now that he's got those Marvel bucks behind him.
One thing we do know he's doing is interesting accent. What accent would you say that is? It's weird, right? I have no idea.
I mean, look, it's out of his wheelhouse, but if there's anyone who can do a weird accent, I mean, it's fucking the guy who was, you know, Kirk Lazarus in Tropic Thunder. So, I mean, see how we go. I mean, the CG looks weirdly kind of meh. Like, you know, I was like, okay, all right. Okay, we were talking about earlier about February releases. This is a movie coming out in January. Just letting you know that.
It's a death sentence for a film like this.
Yeah, well, and you are, dude. You were in. I had to pull you out like with a fucking chain. You were like Indiana Jones sinking into quicksand in the really, really bad fucking Indiana Jones that we will never speak of in this podcast again. And fucking, I am like Shia LaBeouf's character, like throwing you a fucking snake to pull you out of that quicksand pit because you went deep with the production fucking troubles this movie had on the after party, dude. Okay, you know what? Summarize for me because I didn't read your entire post. I'm sorry.
Look,
I'm sorry.
I'll give you the short stuff, right? So, my favorite
did not care
films
enough to read it, by the way.
Oh man, my favorite films to talk about are the films with crazy psycho behind the scenes shit. Like, that's why I love talking about Suicide Squad, because that movie went into production after 6 weeks of pre-production, and that was fucking it. They had over 200 hours of footage, and they just kind of guessed the movie out of it, and then had to change genres halfway through. Fucking incredible. Fan 4 Stick, also incredible. The fucking like director and studio had very different ideas of what the movie should be. One wanted a serious sci-fi film, the other wanted a superhero film, and it ended up causing, I think it was like, what, 10 grand of damage in a hotel that it was blamed on some dogs and all sorts of crazy shit. But this seems to blow a lot of shit out of the water. I also love talking about the Mario Brothers movie. That was hilarious reading all those stories. But there was something that's gone out around the same time this trailer dropped. Some rogue person who won't reveal what they did, but it seems very obvious they worked in, I think, the CGI department, maybe as an animator or something, talking about the production hell that went on behind the scenes. So what we do know is that a director was fired or had to leave the project and they had to bring in someone else. And apparently this guy sort of revealed some of the reasons why. My favorite story. So the main thing is apparently the original director hates CGI, and this movie is like 80 to 90% CGI. And he didn't like the idea of all the extra pre-production planning that had to go into it. And he was kind of doing the movie, it sounds like, because he you know, for the money, so you'll get another film funder later or something like that. That's speculation. But anyways, what this person claims on Reddit, and we have to say it hasn't been confirmed, but he tells many stories of the problems that happened. One of them being, so this guy would change his mind and then forget that he said it. So what they started doing, apparently they started secretly recording meetings and filming them to like prove that he was changing his mind. So at one point, there's a scene Robert Downey Jr. is talking to a goose. And at first he's like, no, don't show the goose on screen. The audience is smart enough to know who he's talking to. So they remove the goose from the scene. And then the next week he comes in to review it and the goose is gone and the guy goes crazy. He starts flipping out and he's like, no, you have to see the goose. Otherwise, who do we know he's talking to? And they're like, you told us to get rid of it. And no, that's not true. And like they played back the video and he got crazy. He punched a hole through a TV. Like he punched some TV embedded into a wall. There's a whole bunch of other stories this guy tells, all equally fucking hilarious. But basically, this guy did not want to do any planning, even though like actors had to interact with animals that weren't there. And pretty much everyone supposedly hated working on this film. And it sounds like a complete fucking mess. It seems obvious why it's now got a January release date. And the thing that's even more hilarious to me with all this shit in mind is that the budget for this film is $175 million. How many fucking films flop with budgets that high? You know, like there was A Wrinkle in Time had like, I think it was
John
120.
Carter.
But John Carter, yep, that's another one. But like, bro, man, like if you guys want to do a deep dive, look into the shit in this. It's crazy.
Yeah. While you're talking about that, I just want to bring up the original director. So the original director was Jonathan Liebesman. He's pretty kind of well known. He did, Battle LA a while back with Aaron Eckhart, but he also did the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, the Michael Bay one.
Right, which had a lot of CGI as well, right?
Yeah, he's done some shit. He did Wrath of the Titans, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Beginning. He's done some shit. So,
the new director did Lego Batman. Apparently he did some rewriting as well, I believe.
Right, yeah, Chris McKay. So he directed Lego Batman movie, helped write the Lego movie with Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Yeah, he's done some stuff, and he did a rewrite for it. So yeah. Oh,
there's also a story here which sounds unbelievable, but the guy acknowledges that it sounds unbelievable. About supposedly the director owned a racist dog that would only bark at non-white employees. This guy really went all the way in, and he tried to delete a lot of stuff in fear of losing his job, but the internet has saved some stuff. And it just sounds fucking hilarious to me. But yeah, this movie, it's an interesting direction though. Coming from the Eddie Murphy movies, straight up comedies, this is going for like a magical Alice in Wonderland, almost Wizard of Oz, I don't know, weird adventure vibe. I guess that could be cool, but it's a January movie. It's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I even might be giving this one the skip, to be honest. I'm not really that interested in it at all.
The only thing I'm interested about this film is the fact that I want to know all the other stories around behind the scenes. This movie looks like not for us, obviously, but it also doesn't look very interesting. Like, I don't care about this angle for the franchise. You know what I mean? I kind of wish they just stick with the Eddie Murphy route, but whatever.
I don't think he's coming back for another one of those, but hey, he's coming to America too, so we'll see.
Hell yeah. All right, so let's do some reviews, shall we?
Let's do some motherfucking reviews.
So we've got Zombieland Double Tap, which we both saw, and also El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, which we'll probably end on. And in between that, I saw the Between Two Ferns film on Netflix, which is there's not a lot to say about that. Oh, you saw that too? Okay, my bad.
Yep.
And then you also saw Hustlers, which I haven't seen yet. Don't know if I will, but I do hear great things. Let's start off with Zombieland Double Tap.
It felt so good to be on the move again.
Whoa! Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Hi, I'm Columbus.
Madison.
This is Tallahassee.
Hey, Paul Blart. Is this your dad? Oh, Woopsie, I forgot the seatbelt rule.
Oh, so she knows the rules?
I told her just a few of them.
73, and are there more?
You're cute. I like it.
Zombieland Double Tap. Before we get into it, what did you think of the first one? Were you a big fan of the original? I know it had a cult following.
Yeah, I liked it for the most part. I didn't love it. Everyone's, saying it's one of the greatest fucking zombie films of all time. But I mean, it's definitely unique, and it's definitely it's funny at parts. But overall, I can't really remember too much of it. I definitely remember the rules. Definitely remember the Twinkies. But that's pretty much about it.
I'm kind of the same. Like, I think it's really, really overhyped. People talk like it's like one of the funniest, coolest films ever, and it's a cult classic. But it's like, I remember seeing it in cinemas and thinking it's not that funny. A lot of but that being said, like the humor in both of these films is they're trying to be witty. So a lot of those jokes, like, they're not meant to be like super laugh out loud, I think. But yeah, I never really connected strongly with the first one. So when they got a sequel, I was pretty surprised because I was like, really? And then when I realized how many fucking Oscar nominated and winning people were attached to this film, and they came back for a sequel for a movie like this, very surprised. So I was like, okay, I want to see this. And here we are. So tell me, what do you think of Zombieland Double Tap?
Meh. Big old meh. I mean, it's a movie. No, actually, you know what? It's a movie. It's a film. It's a motion picture. No, but it was okay. Like, it was entertaining. I guess that's all we can kind of ask for it. Like, I mean, is it a lot of people like tend to be like, oh, it's been 10 years, it should be a fucking masterpiece. Well, I'm not really like that. I'm just like, hey, if this is how long it took the fucking stars to line up, then this is where we're at right now. But I'm more kind of like surprised that they managed to get this cast back together again. Even these writers, even this director where he is right now, because these writers are the Deadpool writers, Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese. They were the Deadpool writers for the first one. I'm not sure about the second one. I think about the second one. And they wrote the original Zombieland as well. This is also directed by the original Zombieland director, Ruben Fleischer, who in the span of 1 year gave us Venom and Zombieland 2, which is weird.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, this is kind of like a bigger, not a massive movie, but it's pretty, big budget movie. We've got Jesse Eisenberg, who's, since played Lex Luthor, and, he did Social Network he did Social Network after Zombieland. So he's done that shit. Woody Harrelson has done a huge amount of stuff since fucking the first Zombieland. Emma Stone has won an Oscar since Zombieland, the first one, and Abigail Breslin has fucking grown up apparently. But yeah, I mean, like, all in all, man, like it was fine. It felt like a bunch of different random segments kind of like strung together, and it didn't really lead to anything outstanding. There were some great, comedic moments, none of which I can remember right now. The the person I watched it with, she immediately picked up on the fact that the blonde chick had an allergic reaction. Like, she immediately picked that shit up, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah.
So did the person I saw it with, I think.
Yeah.
And myself as well.
Yeah, I mean, like, I didn't immediately pick it up. I picked it up when we didn't see the gunshot. You know what I mean? Like, when we just hear it.
That's what confirmed it. Yeah.
Yeah, but like, she was like, no, like, she's going red because of the allergic reaction, not because of the foot bite. And it's is it fun? I don't really know if it's fun. Like, did I have did I have a fun time watching it? I don't know. I mean, like, okay, people laugh at the most dumbest shit. There's a lot of slapstick in here, which is kind of weird. That shit like seems dated as shit. I don't know why we didn't get any Twinkie references, considering it's one of the most memorable moments of the first one. Considering how much they do throw back and throw shade at shit, including how far zombie movies and stuff has come around. Like, The Walking Dead has started since the first Zombieland, and they do like a good slight to The Walking Dead. Man, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, my favorite moment was the post-credit scene, obviously, right? I mean, like, that whole Bill Murray sequence just absolutely, my cheeks were killing me, dude.
Pretty great.
Him doing the whole "I ain't Fred no ghost," and one of the hosts that is actually interviewing him is, fuck me, how am I forgetting his name? But that podcast that I always talk about, Happy Sad Confused. He's that guy. He runs that podcast, and he becomes a zombie in that. So actually, really, really curious to see if he talks about it in the podcast now. But yeah, man, it was an okay movie. I'm probably going to forget about it, to be honest. I don't know. It's nothing memorable like the first one. In my opinion, nothing overly memorable. I do like the stuff with the rules. Like, that rule stuff is really, really kind of great. And I think they kind of captured lightning in a bottle in terms of how they separate them from other zombie films, because there's so fucking many throughout cinematic history, and especially when they come up to the doppelganger, and the doppelganger's got his own set of rules. Like, that shit was great. That felt like Deadpool to me, like that whole kind of fourth wall breaking stuff. Yeah, other than that, not very memorable. The action scenes were kind of meh, other than that really long take one was kind of fucking solid and came out of nowhere. So yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think my favorite part about this is I love meta humor. This film has a bit of it, and I love those jokes, but ultimately, I feel the same about the first one, where the comedy isn't for me. I get the jokes, but they're not super quotable. It's not super hilarious. It is good. I can tell a lot of talent and time went into writing them. It is witty. It's a special type of humor, but it's not laugh out loud for me. Honestly, the film is best sometimes when it's not trying to be funny. Sometimes, some of the character work it does, and like the opening slow-mo scene's pretty amazing, that one take action scene. But the highlight, the thing that saves this film for me is this actress, I'm going to butcher her name, I think it's Zoe Deutsch.
Zoe Deutsch.
Deutsch, yeah, who plays this, it's almost like I think it's a play on the preppy type preppy Mean Girls type character, which is usually a type of character you find really oh my god, that Valley Girls type thing, usually super annoying but fucking hilarious. She has all the best lines in this film. One of my favorites is near the end where Woody Harrelson walks off. She goes, "I'll never forget you. What's his name?" And it's like, yeah, that's great. Like, it's almost like Simpsons humor, like the way they used witty shit.
I don't. Oh man, she was cringeworthy for me. I hated her.
I thought she was actually fun. I normally hate characters like that though. But I liked how she sort of like represented the opposite of Stone's character, and the way that they used her, I thought was pretty great. I think when they sort of got rid of her just to bring her back, that was a bit of like, okay, you clearly just got bored with this character and decided to come back to it later. Because the twist did like everyone saw it coming. But I feel like it's always like it never goes a step further. Like I like the concepts of like, oh, hey, so they went to a place where there is no guns. And Woody Harrelson's character like loves his guns, but they don't really do anything with that much, you know?
Did that feel like a bit of an agenda for you? I mean, like it didn't really for me, but like now that I think about it, maybe like the fact that they melted down and turned it into peace symbols, like it's that little much.
Well, it could also be argued the opposite way, because it's like, oh, they live in peace and harmony, but then when the danger comes, they got nothing to defend themselves with, you know? So it's kind of like,
good point.
It kind of feels like, and I did feel like this in the cinema, it kind of feels like, it's kind of like what I said about Joker the other day, where it's like, I feel like they want to say something, but I can't figure out what the saying is. Like, you know, it's like there's meant to be a message here. It was more clear in Joker than it was here, but I feel like with that particular stuff, it's like Zombieland wanted to do something with it, but they just didn't. Like they started to and they just forgot it, or it just went over my head or something. But yeah, I know overall, like this movie isn't bad. It's just, it is a bit forgettable for me, but I feel the same way about Zombieland 1. If you like Zombieland 1, you would love this movie, but I didn't. So for me, it's like
it's a 6.
I want to give it a 7 just because I can acknowledge the actors are very charismatic. There is very smart writing. There's some great cinematography. Everything on paper sounds fucking awesome. It sounds like a recipe for an amazing film, but it just didn't land for me. But I did gotta say, I fucking love the fact we got Thomas Middleditch sort of playing opposite Jesse Eisenberg as a similar character. So I've been saying for ages, him on HBO's Silicon Valley, he's basically doing Jesse Eisenberg's performance in The Social Network. And so I thought that was really cool to see that. But that's just me as a fan. Like overall, not my type of film, but it was nice. Okay time. Yeah. So that's Zombieland Double Tap. Let's move on to something available on Netflix right now that we can all see. A bit of an odd one, but still a decent time. Between Two Ferns, the movie.
Welcome to another edition of Between Two Ferns, and my guest today is Matthew McConaughey.
Good to be here, Zach.
Of all the things you can win an Oscar for, how surprised are you that you won one for acting?
Here we go.
I noticed that you're wearing a shirt. Is everything okay?
Yeah, I don't know how much I have to say about this, really.
There's not a lot to say, right?
No, there's not a lot to say, mostly because of the fact that I watched this like right when it dropped. So, I mean, like, it's not like I was waiting. It's not like I was waiting for anything, but it's more like, oh, it's here. I'll watch it because I got nothing else to do. Yeah, okay, it's okay. It's about as good as like it's about as good as you'd expect, right? Like, yeah, it's so, not. Yeah, like, go,
I think
Matt.
the
I feel
best
like
way I feel like the best way to describe this movie is that it's like a sketch movie, kind of like something like Movie 43, where it's like they've got these little sketch bits.
Yeah, it's just little segments strung together.
And they got a storyline that strings it together. Obviously, it's strung together a lot better than Movie 43. Like they have an actual arc, they have characters, they do stuff. And it's kind of a smart way from a producing perspective because they have enough episodes here with guest stars that there could have been another season of the show, but they just squeezed it into a movie and it weirdly worked for that. And it was a cheap way for them to get celebrity cameos and just do more of that stuff. So if you like the show, you'll like this. I have one annoying gripe with it though. Tell me if this was annoying for you. It was a bit for me. Like I can let it aside, but in the original YouTube shows, Zach Galifianakis was Zach Galifianakis. Like himself, he was an actor. They would make jokes about the Hangover movies and stuff. But in this, he's playing like a different character, just happens to have the same name. Like he works for a public access show. He doesn't have a career. His dream is to one day be in a talk show, even though in real life he has. And Will Ferrell isn't Will Ferrell now. He's Will Ferrell, but he's like a fictionalized version of himself who's like a thing. And I don't know, I just feel like that inconsistency was a little annoying. I kind of wish they stuck with it.
To be honest, man, like while I was watching it, I didn't really care enough to think about it. I know that sounds dismissive, but it didn't really even like occur to me that like, you know, he's being like someone else. I was just like, oh, okay, like it's just literally just this guy who fucked up, almost killed Matthew McConaughey, and now he's got to redeem himself. That's literally all I took it as. And, you know, I mean, like it's not even, I didn't even really find it that funny. I know, you know, that kind of like deadpan humor is, you know, hilarious, but like I used to think like, you know, back in the day when it started and, you know, when I used to watch it a lot, no, not watch it a lot, but like, you know, it used to pop up on my feed. I used to think that it was unscripted. And I used to think that it was like, you know, the guests were not in on it because that's how fucking, I guess, gullible I was. But yeah, I mean, just knowing that it's scripted and knowing that everyone's in on it, I don't know. Like, it doesn't really come off as genuine to me, and it didn't really, I don't know. They're just meh. Big old meh. I'd probably give it like a 4, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't watch it again.
I did find it funny, but I do know what you mean. Like, it feels like it was a nice experiment, but I think content like this does suit web series better, just because it's better taking those little chunks and what it is. It didn't need to be a movie. I wonder why they thought it should be a movie. I was excited though, like little thing. I'm a big fan of college humor, so I was excited to see Reka as like a main character in this. She was the person who was like sort of in charge of the mockumentary. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna give it a 5.
Was she in Spider-Man?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You know what? While you're giving your score, I'm gonna look this shit up because she's been in something. And Rika.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm going to give it a 6 just because, the humor did land for me. It technically does nothing wrong. It's just nothing exceptional. You can kind of feel the budgetary restraints on this film. But yeah, overall,
I think all the budget went to the guest stars, to be honest.
Yeah. Which like, it's kind of smart the way they did though, because getting those stars for such shorter periods of time would have been cheaper than they normally would have been. But yeah, I enjoyed it, but it's nothing to write home about.
No, exactly.
I'm happy to move on. Did you find what you're looking for?
No, just one of the chicks in there. I don't know. Maybe I'm fucking forgetting. I don't really know anymore. Yeah, let's bail on this shit. Let's fucking pull the parachute. Oh, actually, no. Sorry. Lauren Lapkus is her name, and she was in Jurassic Park, Jurassic World.
Yeah,
she's the one that goes to kiss fucking Johnson there.
Right, yeah, we're talking about different people then. Anyways, though, all good. Let's move on. You saw Hustlers, and I'm keen to hear what you thought. So, yeah.
So the guy went back 3 more times. Guess he must have liked it.
I was born to flex, diamonds on my neck. I like boarding jets, I like more than sex, but nothing in this world, and I like more than checks.
We didn't do anything wrong. You know, Tony wouldn't let this happen. I'm gonna text him.
Who gave her phone back?
Jump it down, back it up. Ooh, hey, make that too.
I like Hustlers. I didn't think I would.
Great.
And a review. Yeah, exactly. I didn't. So this is directed by a woman named Lorraine Scafaria. Never heard of her. Never seen anything else she's done. And when the trailer came out for this, I was like, oh yeah, look, it's not really a movie that I'll be into. And then I think it's Venice Film Festival happened, and I was like, oh, okay, this is getting some really, really, really solid reviews. So, maybe it's one to consider. And it came out. I didn't watch it on opening day. I watched it on a Sunday night. Right, I had nothing to do, so I just went to go watch it. And it's fine.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, no, look, it's fine. Like the movie itself is fine. It actually reminded me a lot of The Big Short, only because it does revolve. Well, a massive part of the story is the 2008 financial crisis, right? Like that totally. It shows how these women who what they do is considered to be very, not not acceptable, not socially acceptable, right? I'm fucking dancing around this. Okay. They're strippers. Yeah. They're strippers. But it also shows it didn't only affect white collar people who, go to a fucking office building and, into an office and fucking 9 to 5. It didn't really only affect those kinds of people. It affected everyone. And it's just kind of like interesting to see how these women turn to crime to get around that. I do think that the stakes of this movie are very low, though. Like what they are doing when the police knock on their door, and they do knock on their door, you don't feel like a sense of danger for these characters, because I know, like the heart of the story is the relationship that the lead character, played by Constance Wu, who is incredible in this movie. It's the relationship she builds with Jennifer Lopez's character. Jennifer Lopez is the one getting the most buzz for this film, like her acting. She is great. I'm not gonna take anything away from her. I don't think she's going to get an Oscar. I think she'll be nominated for sure, but I don't think she's as good as everyone's making her out to be. I think Constance Wu is going to get nominated for sure, and I don't think she's going to win, but she's definitely. I liked her a lot better than Jennifer Lopez. But other than that, yeah, man, like the movie, it's a good watch. I wouldn't be rushing out to the cinemas to see it. Again, it really wasn't made for me. Like it's not a movie that's made for A, my fucking gender, and B, my age group. Like, you know what I mean? Actually, maybe it is made for my age group, like, girls my age, but it's just not for me. I did like what they were doing with the story, but it just wasn't really something that I really latched onto. So maybe, check it out on Netflix if you can. Go for the performances. The performances are great. The editing is kind of solid as well. And the direction is strong. Like I'm not going to go past that, because Scafari has got some fucking skills behind the camera for sure. So yeah, if you are considering it, check it out, but don't rush out to go see it. I'd probably give it like a 7.
Cool. A lot of 7s this episode.
I know.
But now it's time for the big motherfucker. We haven't talked about this at all. I have no idea what you think. Hell, I don't even know what the fuck I'm going to say, but I love me some Breaking Bad. I know you love some Breaking Bad. Let's talk about El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie.
I found grace in black water, bathe my soul, tell my heart I told you so. I lay like bait in the lion's cage and wait for my time to come. But I'm begging, please, I need this so much more than you ever know. You ready? Yeah.
Bro, I'm just dive into this bitch. What'd you think?
Yeah, this is a tough one to talk about.
Ooh.
Yeah, I felt I didn't really take to it as much as I would have loved to. I know. Ooh. Look, overall, it was good to see more Breaking Bad. It was good to see Vince Gilligan back behind the camera, because you can definitely tell this is a continuation of Breaking Bad. Like it's definitely the same writer, it's definitely the same director behind the camera. And don't get me wrong, I was really keen to see. You know what? I wasn't really keen to see it, but I wanted to see what happened to Jesse after he drove through the gates after fucking Walt blew down fucking Uncle Joe's fucking gang over there with the Nazis. I wanted to see that, and like I wanted a happy ending for him, but to be honest, man, this feels unnecessary. And I'm not really the biggest fan of saying that, like that a movie is unnecessary and like why is it made and shit like that. Like that's not really a sentiment that I like to make. But here I'm watching it and I'm just like, this doesn't really feel like a story that needed telling, because even if this movie had not been made, I could have made this assumption from the ending of Breaking Bad, at the end of Felina, that last episode. I could have made that assumption that, you know, Jesse ended up living a good life after being fucking freed from the reins of not only the Nazis, but Walt in a bigger fucking scope. I could have made that leap. I 100% could have made that leap without it being, you know, told to me explicitly. You know, that aside, it is a good movie. It just, not a lot happens in it. Seriously, there's not that much in this movie. Like, you know what? Jesse goes to Ted's stash, gets the stash. He's confronted by two thieves. He goes to see the coyote, the fucking, poor bastard that just died as well, man. Seriously, he died, like the actor died like right the day after the El Camino premiered on Netflix, which is sad as shit. But I'm forgetting his name too, but I want to pay respects. But yeah, like I just thought it was overall just unnecessary. I wasn't really into it. And I'm sorry, Robert Forster is his name. He passed away right after El Camino came out. But it just, I love me with some Breaking Bad, and I'm always keen to see a return to form, like, a return to a world like this. But I don't know. Overall, like, I just kind of have this lingering feeling, like, why? Like, you know, it was good to see Walt back, even though in a flashback. It was good to see Kristen Ritter's character, Jane, back. Like, she was fucking also always great before she was Jessica Jones. And Mike Ehrmantraut, like, it was, you know, that opening scene was fantastic. And fucking, I don't want to go past the performance, dude. Like, this is a fantastic performance from, how am I forgetting his name?
Aaron Paul.
Aaron Paul. Holy shit. Jesus Christ. I just had a mind blank. This is a great performance from him, dude. It's quiet. It's subdued. It feels, you can feel like anger bubbling beneath. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can feel like anger on Walt's part. And he can't hurt Walt. Like, he can't take his revenge or anything like that. He just wants to get the fuck out. I love that part of it. But Jesse Plemons, especially as Ted as well, just fucking kills it as well. But like, it was a little distracting, the age difference, because I mean, obviously it's been so long since the end of Breaking Bad, and he gained so much weight to play his character in Fargo, and I believe it was Black Mass he gained weight for as well. So yeah, that was kind of jarring, especially. Overall, I just don't think it was necessary. I when I'm watching Breaking Bad, when I rewatch Breaking Bad eventually, I think I'll leave this out because I kind of like that ambiguous ending, because I can like make that leap that Jesse had a good life afterwards. You know, Jesse went on because he was freed. That's all I'm saying. Well, I don't need to be told that he's going to the fucking Alaska. I'm good.
No, yeah, like I think you raise a great point, and I believe I feel the same way, which it makes you wonder what was the point of making the film, because honestly it ends the same way the series ends. It doesn't really give you any new information.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't add anything it doesn't really add anything new. It's not here's what the film really is, right? It's not about how Jesse got away. It's not even a greatest hits. It's like half a greatest hits of Breaking Bad, where they use this story to justify a bunch of flashbacks to older characters so you get to see them again. It's a vehicle for that in a way. However, and is this right for me to just jump into my thoughts now? Do you think?
Yeah, of course. Sorry, I rambled for so long.
Yeah, that's right. But however, what I love about this movie, and what I love about, and I could watch 100 more of these, is the writing that Breaking Bad has. It's fucking back in this, man. Like, the thing with Breaking Bad, and I don't notice it until I watch Breaking Bad again. It's just like the writing is so organic. Like, you don't even realize how processed and manufactured most TV and film feels
100%.
Until you watch something that's so organically written. Like, they don't give a fuck about pacing or or all this shit. Like they just do it what comes naturally, and what they do so perfectly. I heard this. They talk about this all the time on the Breaking Bad Insider podcast and the Better Call Saul Insider podcast. And I think it's just a fucking great lesson for screenwriters to learn is whenever they put a character, they always try and write their characters into a wall, to a situation they can't escape from. And then when they need to get them out, what they do is instead of coming up with a new way to do it, they try and find things they've done previously and bring it back. So then that way it's already, you already have the puzzle pieces. And so all the cameos, like they had a lot in this, right? And a lot of characters came back, but all the ones who were there feel relevant. Either thematically or for story. Like the best example is the I forget his name, but the car guy who eventually gave him the magnets bitch car. How he came to like take the car from the junkyard. Of course, it makes sense. Joe. Yeah, old Joe. His reason to be there is fucking perfect. It makes total sense. But like they could have easily squeezed in a cameo from Gus, but it wouldn't have been really super. It would have been hard to work it into the story. The only one that really feels a little bit forced, if you had to come up with it, is maybe Walt. But first of all, you need Walt there because it's fucking Breaking Bad. It's like the biggest Easter egg you can do. But two, it's like thematically. I disagree. But thematically, it means a lot for the film and the story. So like, they justified it.
Like
so
I
had that before. Yeah,
no, sorry to interrupt, man. I like that. I like that Walt kind of like gives him his whole like like I'm proud of you moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like I like that. I like it. It feels good to finally have that moment. Although again, unnecessary, but I liked it.
But at the same time, Jesse also has his moment where he sort of he always had those like because the whole show is about in a way about how Walter always manipulated Jesse, and that's where he had that amazing moment in the finale where he's like, "No, you do it yourself." We finally like let's go from Walter's influence. You get like a little taste of how that could be building here when he does the whole thing where like Walter's like, you got to get your GED, and like he's like, you were at my graduation, you fucking dick. Like he's I love those little moments where he starts to stand up to him, but he never fully, whatevers. And so it's really good storytelling, I think. And I think the fact that they used as the main chunk of it, his whole like his day with Ted, going through all that stuff and how the post-traumatic stress and how it affects him now. Like his character does have an arc in this. It's about learning to overcome his, he became a bit weak and he becomes strong again. And by the end of it, he's a ruthless motherfucker. The only character that's sort of like wedged in new here is this welder character, but it makes sense. They do need a villain, I guess. And they justified it, I think, when it came to like go for the money, like they need to have someone on the inside to do that. And shout outs to the one small reference to Better Call Saul I liked with get the character's name. I think it was like Oscar or something. The really tall guy who was like with the strippers. Like he was really cool to see him just even for a second because he has one of my favorite scenes. I think he has my favorite scene. He's in one of my favorite scenes with Mike in Better Call Saul.
So just while you mentioned like. It feels organic and without some like, I guess without structure, and that's not really a bad thing. It felt very Tarantino to me. Like it felt very like these long sort of like winded sequences, followed by something that you don't really expect, followed by a massive moment of tension, followed by brutal violence immediately. Like, you know what I mean? Like, especially that like kind of gunfight at the end there.
I think Breaking Bad's always had that, but it feels even more Tarantino here because it's closed off because it's just a solid standalone story. But Breaking Bad's always had like elements of that, I feel, and that's one of the reasons why I like the show, I think. But yeah, and to be fair to it, like the film technically has structure. It just doesn't feel like it's obvious, which I think a lot of like, like especially blockbuster films, it's very obvious these days. It's not like shoved down your throat. It's not there. It's a mastercraft of storytelling. It's a little bit of a shame that doesn't really add anything major to the franchise. Like there's no massive new lore. There's no, like, I think what we all wanted and what we hoped for was what happened after Breaking Bad. But this isn't really, it's just barely after Breaking Bad. It's like, it's still just, hey, what if this happened? Like, that's cool. But like, maybe we needed something to come back from Jesse's past. I think we needed this to be 5 years later. If we needed something, it doesn't feel like a new story because it's so closely linked. And I'm okay with that. I still had a fun time. I guess to steal like your terminology for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, it's a bit of a hangout movie, as in like you sort of just we're there to spend more time with these characters that we love. But I wish it had more to offer in terms of advancing the plot of the story. It does nothing because again, I think one of the biggest draws to the show Better Call Saul is to see what happened after Breaking Bad, and it hasn't really shown us much to that. And this movie doesn't do that either, which is a little bit of a shame, but I still had a really good time. I love this movie. It's an actor's showcase for Aaron Paul. Really great scenes with other characters too. The fake cop scene in the apartment is breathtaking. It's
I
so
called that immediately
good.
though.
Did you?
Yeah.
How'd you call it?
So it was shit. So I literally turned and said to my dad, I'm like, hey, yeah, so these guys are here for the money, they're not with the cops. I can't remember now. I think it's the way they dismissed the old guy at the door there. Like they just kind of like shoved him away. I was just like, oh yeah, these aren't cops. Like there's no fucking way.
Wow, I wouldn't have called that, but like that moment.
You can tell from the dialogue and like the way they treat him. Like it's too sudden.
Okay, fair enough. But like that's still that moment where he's like, oh shit, you're not cops. And they have that sound effect. It's like it's just, I've watched it twice and it hits me both times. I love that moment. I love that moment. And when he realizes it, yeah. And I guess the other thing to mention is like you brought it up, but I just want to do it as well. It's just, the time has clearly passed and it's more obvious for some people than others. I think Aaron Paul gets a pass because he starts off with a beard and you don't really know how it is and they can work around that. Mike kind of looks the same, surprisingly. Walter looks the same, but the most obvious one is obviously Jesse Plemons, which is, it's a bit distracting, but he still delivers an awesome performance. He delivers a great performance.
He's great. He's come so far, actually, as an actor since, Breaking Bad ended.
Yeah. And
like, he's been in so much shit.
Yeah. But his character has always been really fucking weird. Like, sometimes I wonder if he's on the spectrum, if he's meant to be on the spectrum or something, because the way that he makes decisions and acts, it's funny, it's odd, and I love how he treats Jesse like a dog almost, like it's a good dog going out to play. Yeah, man, I love these characters, I love this world. I know I've sort of ripped into a little bit like you about the film feels unnecessary, but at the same time, it's really well made. It's kind of like I feel like the Joker. I feel like that movie didn't need to exist, but it was awesomely well made. So I forgive that. And I feel the same about this movie. I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. I wanted to love it more, but there wasn't much meat to chew on. What about you?
I think overall, as much as I liked it in the moment, I think overall towards the end, I came off unsatisfied. And I know it's going to sound shitty, but I'm probably going to give it a 6. Like it's just...
Damn.
Yeah, it didn't really stick with me as much as I would have liked it to, and it just gave me, it spoon fed me the answers. I don't need this as much as I, empathize with the character of Jesse, and I wanted to see him have a good and happy life. I could have assumed that from the ending of Breaking Bad. So yeah. Yeah.
Also, I want to highlight the vacuum cleaner store scene. Also amazing. So great.
Robert Forster. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. If it wasn't a movie based off a TV show and it wasn't answering those questions or whatever questions were left behind, do you think this would have been better or worse or the same?
Sorry, what was your question? I completely missed that.
If this movie was not based off a show, if it was a standalone thing, not connected to a show, with the pieces we were given, I know it's kind of unfair to ask that because of it's so heavily reliant on flashbacks and stuff, but then what do you reckon? Do you think it would be as good?
It doesn't really fit because it's so deeply rooted into Breaking Bad and what happened at the end of Breaking Bad. So it's not. I'm happy to answer that question, but like I don't think it really applies. Like I can really even start to imagine it for this scenario because like everything Jesse does is in reaction to what happened at the end of Breaking Bad. So I can't really.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't really guess that. Like you know what I mean? It's tough to gauge. I mean, if it was something like. If you ask me that question around something like, between two Ferns, I'd be like, oh yeah, it was fine, like separated from the show. But for something that's so, like a movie that's so heavily heavily reliant of like what happened in the show, I couldn't even like begin to guess an answer for that question.
I guess it doesn't really feel much like a movie as in more because it's so similar to the show and the way it's done. It kind of feels like it's another episode, right?
It felt like a massive post-credit scene.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. All right. Well, I think that concludes this episode of Midnight Double Feature. Zoheb,
good episode. Big episode.
Yeah. A fun one too, yeah. For those who are looking for us, where can they find us?
Guys, thank you for listening to the episode. You can find us on multiple social networking platforms, including Facebook. We've got our Facebook group, which is the After Party, and then we've got our main page there on Facebook called Midnight Double Feature. That's where we post all of our, alerts of like what new episodes are out. The After Party is our great little community that we've fostered. We have great conversations on there. I think right now people are talking about Bloodshot that we just talked about in the episode here. So feel free to join on that. It is a public group, but for some reason you have to ask to join. I don't know. I haven't really figured out that part. Can't really be bothered. And we're on Instagram, which is Midnight Double Feature, and we're on Twitter, which is at MDF Pod. You can listen to us on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, pretty much anywhere. And please remember to rate and review us on iTunes. That would be very handy and very helpful. If you like what you're hearing, that's great. Please just leave that kind of feedback. But if you don't like what you're hearing, please don't hesitate to let us know. You can always just email us, which is midnightdoublefeature@gmail.com, or you can reach out to us hosts on Facebook. We're pretty open with our Facebook pages. We're pretty approachable. So you can always reach out to us personally because we love having a good chat with or a little connection with our listeners. So that's always cool. We have a feature presentation coming up. That's one of the larger episodes. Colin and I are getting together to talk about The Frighteners, which is a 1990s film. It's a lesser known Peter Jackson film, so really, really keen for that one. Actually, that's one that I chose, and not Colin, because Colin usually does go for the older sort of like horror films. It's not really a horror, but he usually does go for the older films. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna pull this one out of my ass and see how we go. And yeah, really, really fucking stoked for that episode. So. Yeah. What do you got going on, dude? You got a shitload going on lately. Okay, hold on. Let's hold the fuck on, all right? You had Monster Fest down in Melbourne, right? Just this past weekend, and your short film premiered there, She's Not Your Type, starring Adrienne. Love Adrienne. She's also in a little after party. She's amazing. One of the best fucking people I've ever met, including yourself, right? But yeah, so I haven't seen this film. I'm hoping to see it on Sunday, right? When it shows up here at Event Cinemas in Liverpool, premiering in Sydney.
George Street.
Is it not Liverpool? Yeah. I thought it was Liverpool.
No, sorry, George Street. Wrong one.
Okay, I'm hoping to go see it then. I know we are recording this fucking Frighteners episode late on Sunday, so hopefully I might be able to make it on time. But yeah, that's having its Sydney premiere here as well. Yeah. Going to Monster Fest was amazing. For those who don't know, it's pretty much the biggest horror film festival in Australia, run by Monster Pictures, who distribute pretty much almost everything to DVD that's horror based out here, which is weird because it's not a horror film. But as I said in the intro for the film and the day, it's still pretty fucking horrific. I won't be reviewing any of the features that were there, just out of respect and out of courtesy, but they were some pretty amazing. Man, I saw this amazing horror film. I don't know if it's getting a major release. It's called I think it's called 8BR or something, or whatever. I think it's 8BR, whatever it was. It was fucking incredible. Anyways, though, I said I wouldn't review any films. Nice.
Yeah, okay. It was really good, though. That was really cool. And yeah, this weekend we're playing Sydney Indie Fest, which is really fun. Really excited about all that. And I'll be announcing another project very soon, which I'm excited about. So I've technically already kind of announced it, but we'll be doing it properly soon. So that's exciting. I've been really creative outside of the podcast, doing lots of fun things. And thank you so much to everyone who's been giving me love and support. Love you guys. Yeah. In the meantime, thanks for shout out, by the way. In the meantime, though, this has been Midnight Double Feature. Thank you so much for hanging out. Be sure to check out that Frighteners episode. And in about 2 weeks' time, we'll see you again with a bunch of reviews. One of them for Gemini Man, which I'm hearing lots of interesting things about. I can't wait to see it. And
Gemini Man, I think we'll have seen Terminator Dark Fate. We'll probably have seen Ready or Not. That's out this week this week as well. And there is a Star Wars final trailer for Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. I don't know whether we will be talking about it because, like, we were just talking about off air, Matt. I don't really like talking about, like, you know, second trailers and shit, but I mean, it's probably going to give us a bit more info. Yeah, let's see how we go.
Star Wars, though. Star Wars always tends to break the mold. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it.
I'll catch. All right, thanks so much, guys. We'll catch you later. Peace.
Bye.